Hi, I'm Juliette McCutcheon from Channel Factory. We're down here at MadFest today, and I'm here with...
Emily Roberts. I'm the co-founder of the Women in Programmatic Network and a Senior Associate at PwC.
So, Emily.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to MadFest.
Thank you.
We wanted to chat to you today. I know particularly you're doing a huge amount of work with the Women in Programmatic Network. You're one of the founders. So I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about how the network was founded and why you felt like it was important in the industry.
Yeah, so we founded the network about 2.5 years ago now, which is slightly terrifying.
Yeah.
See, where's the time gone? But we started it essentially to support women in the advertising industry. It started as a monthly session to talk about the latest and greatest things in programmatic, because there's so much going on in programmatic.
Yeah.
And it's kind of drastically expanded to where it is today. So we have 1,000 women across the world, which is amazing.
Wow.
In Australia, so we launched Australia this year, and UK are kind of our main hubs. But we're, as I said, expanding at a phenomenal rate. So yeah,
Amazing.
It's exciting.
And have you seen that kind of, have you seen the same sort of growth in your other European markets, or for the moment is it sort of mainly in the UK?
So it is mainly in the UK at the moment. Germany, France, we've got also quite a big networks, and they're starting to get bigger and bigger. But I think what's really nice is in places like Eastern Europe, where there's just not as many women in the advertising industry, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You kind of are able to put women together within kind of countries and create their own little networks as well there. So I think it's really, really important kind of for everybody around the world.
And then what about for the future of the network? And I mean, as you said, not only has the network grown so much in the last couple of years, but as we can see here, the AdTech industry has grown so much.
Yeah.
What do you guys see as the future of the network in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so it's scary actually. So I was in Cannes, and the Cosette, which used to be all creative boats, right, is now all ad tech boats. Like that's the way the world is going, very ad tech focused. And so I think it's just going to become more and more important on our network. There is, like, back in the day, ad tech was very male kind of dominant, and that's changing. Like, we've got women coming in more and more, which is amazing, but we need to make sure it's an equal place and it's a supportive place for women in the industry as well, right? And yeah, I think that's why our network's so important. We kind of support women from events, so like MadFest. We've got like a load of women on panels today. We've got tickets for women to come as well to make it more diverse than just your kind of standard ad tech male. And yeah, like it's definitely changing, and I hope our network can help just a little bit in that.
Do you think we're seeing a shift? I think in when we had to all publish the gender pay gap figures in advertising a couple of years ago, and kind of I thought the trend that emerged a lot in media and ad tech was that there's a lot of women in the bottom 2 quartiles, and then women tend to drop off as we go into the top 2 quartiles. Do you think we're starting to see a shift in the last couple of years, that there's more women progressing into more senior positions?
Yeah, so it's really hard to know, and the reason for that is because the government over lockdown scrapped the gender pay gap report. And actually it was WACL, which is another amazing female network, that petitioned to get it back.
Okay.
So we've actually haven't had it for the last 2 years, which is slightly heartbreaking. I think it is getting better slowly, but there's still kind of a big way to go. So like the gender pay gap in the advertising industry starts at 28 for women. Most women don't have kids until their mid-30s.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what people don't realise. People assume that, oh, well, women have kids, they take a year out on average. That's where the gender pay gap comes. And actually, it's way before that. And we've just done a panel here. We've just released the big study around being a parent in the industry. And it's massively, obviously, skewed towards kind of women and kind of expanding the gender pay gap once women have kids. Because obviously, women start getting paid less when they're 28. By the time they have kids, it's really easy to kind of go, well, you get paid less than me as a guy. You can go off for 12 months instead. So Yeah.
Yeah. So is that what you are talking about at MadFest this week?
Yeah, so we've just done a big study, essentially interviewing and also interviewing loads of people all over the industry, men and women that are parents, about what it's like to be a parent in the industry. So it was released today. And so some of the stats is 97% of parents want flexible working in the industry.
97%?
97%.
This is hot off the press today.
Yeah. Pretty much 100%. But it shows you that the old school way of working, where it's like no flexible work, 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, doesn't work. And another amazing stat, which is slightly scary, is 40% of women say that being a parent has impacted their career, whereas 20% of men say it's impacted career. So 80% of men don't think having a kid's impacted their career, and
80%.
80%.
That says a lot.
It does. So it's about how we kind of change this, right? It's about saying, well, how can we change it so that we like women don't feel like their careers being impacted by having children. I think it's the flexible working that's a kind of big part to play, but also one of the results that came out is basically childcare. Childcare is absolutely extortionate. So we got the second most expensive childcare in the world, in the UK. Yeah.
Wow.
On average in London, it's about 1,500 a month for full time. That's probably more than most people's rent or mortgages, and it's kind of a lot of the time then up to the women to either like quit her job because it doesn't make financial sense, or go part-time. And so we see a lot of women, when they have children, then ending up going part-time to basically not pay as much of the cost of childcare. So I think those are kind of two big things that came out of the report. So so we do things like that as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And one thing I always think about with the question around childcare and women, as you said, it's easy to look at statistics and think that it's because of having children that women drop out of the workforce. But as you said, it actually starts off even earlier than that, like the gender pay gap disparity begins.
Yeah.
Within the network, how are you working with men in the industry to help promote women in the industry?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And we get that asked quite a lot as well, because there's no point of just having a network that's just full of women basically saying the same thing, right? So we do monthly sessions which talk about the latest and greatest stuff for women, about kind of what's happening in programmatic, the latest kind of updates. But we also do big networking events as well, so that women can kind of get to know each other. That was one thing that we found, that women don't have as big a network as men in the industry. But then, for International Women's Day this year, we then brought men into the conversation, and we had amazing men on panels, but also at our event to talk about kind of, so they're aware of what's going on in the industry, what the issues are of being a woman in the industry. And you know what, that was unbelievably inspiring. Like, we had 200 amazing people from the industry come to our event, and we had like the female fighter jet pilot, the first ever female fighter jet pilot, talk about kind of how her fighter jet suit didn't fit because it was all males that were coming before her, right?
Yeah.
As a fighter jet pilot. And I think stuff like that, that's really kind of inspiring and enlightening, was really interesting, because not only as a woman do you think, oh my god, like that, I never even thought about that, but for men it's also good to be aware of these things. And I think that's one thing that's really important, and our responsibility as the network to make like male colleagues aware of some of the issues. So I know the other day we were on a talk where we were talking about how many times women get left out of introductions. So if you're in a business meeting, and all the men are kind of being quite broy together, and they're like, oh, right, mate, like, oh, I've seen you in ages. And as a woman, if you're the only woman in the room, for some reason, women get left out. And you kind of have to insert yourself. So it's being aware, if you're a guy, that this happens, and it happens a lot. And as a woman, inserting yourself into that conversation and kind of doing the introduction yourself. So I think it goes both ways, really.
Yeah. I think as well, as you were saying, like the statistics that you have from the report that you released today, that is, men need to see that for them to understand the impact that it has on women, that women are thinking about this stuff constantly. We're thinking about it from our 20s or our 30s, and men don't have to. And we kind of need to support men to take more of an active role
100%.
in childcare and understanding their female colleagues' needs as well, to promote women.
So half of women say they delay having kids because they're worried that's going to impact their career.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, that's just a massive eye-opener because guys don't even need to think about that, right? They don't have like almost like a ticking clock. They can have kids into their 80s, shout to Mick Jagger. So you don't have to think about that, right?
I think Hugh Hefner was having kids as well, into his later years, wasn't he?
Yeah, indeed.
Maybe one day, maybe they'll develop some sort of magic pill for us, but until then.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to have kids in my 80s.
No.
I think I'll be
Me neither. I'm already worried about my back in my 30s, so I don't think it's going to go well.
Indeed.
Well, I think that's everything that we wanted to chat about today.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming down.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great to chat to you.
Thank you.